So I was already hanging on to their words. And then afterwards, I was really beating myself up. It took me 6 hours. I'm not a real runner. And I was at the hair salon and I was texting my daughter on her iPad and I was talking to her and we were talking about the marathon and she sent me that video. And she was like, "You ran a marathon. It doesn't matter how long it took you. And that's awesome. And you stopped and you had fun." And it like made me tear up. And so I just wanted to share that with someone who needed like the pep talk. And I don't know if you were paying attention to that video, but apparently a lot of people resonated with that. It just made my heart happy.
Welcome back to Through Their Stride and episode 4 of my Strides Through H-Town series, where I sit down with runners who took on the Houston Marathon. And in this episode, I have Brandy Hoffman, aka Your Resident Yapper on Instagram. I love that name. I love all of the inspirational and educational posts she puts on that channel. She is a fitness and wellness coach and has been doing that for several years and has inspired a lot of people, motivated a lot of people, and helped a lot of people. Recently, she just took on the Houston Marathon this past January, and she said it was one of the hardest things she's ever done, but one of the most accomplishing things that she has ever done. And one of the best things that came out of it was a little video her daughter posted or shared with her at the end of it, just saying, "You ran a marathon and I'm so proud of you. And, you know, the times that you had to stop, you were just having fun." And I thought that was so beautiful. So without further ado, let's get to Brandy. Brandy, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm so glad to share your story. Okay, so welcome back to Through Their Stride and episode 4 of my Houston Marathon series, Strides Through H-Town, and I'm joined by Brandy Hoffman, you're a first-time marathoner, is that correct?
Yes, I just completed my very first marathon.
Awesome. And that was at Houston, and I saw some of your photos on your Instagram and some of your videos that posting about it. And so can you tell me a little bit about the race and what made you decide to jump into a marathon?
Yeah. So I'm a native Houstonian, so I've signed up for this actual race probably 10 times over the last 10 years, and I've chickened out halfway through training, never followed through. So last year I told myself I was finally going to do it, signed up for a program to train. I signed up for the race in July of last year, and I trained really hard through the fall. And then some life things happened, and I didn't run for like 6 weeks. So I know better. So I wasn't going to try to push myself. And then I got the email for the packet pickup, and I'm like, I cannot just not show up anymore. This is the time. I'm just going to go out and see how far I can run. Even my family, they were like, "You really going to show up on Sunday?" I said, "Yeah, we're just going to go. And if I DNF at 20 miles, that's fine. That's farther than I've ever ran before." So I showed up on Sunday and I finished in 6 hours. It took every minute that they allotted, but I did it and I surprised myself, and I'm super excited for that whole process.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one of the things I wanted to bring up, the video that you posted of your daughter kind of saying to you that you ran a marathon and all of these positive things. And I just thought that was beautiful because I think as marathoners, you know, when we go out there and if it's really tough, especially the first one's always really tough, but we run, we have a hard time, either we don't hit our goals and we can just get so negative on ourselves. And to have someone like that, like your own daughter coming on and just saying, "You ran a marathon, you did something hard," is amazing. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so funny story about that video. But before I talk about that video, I used an app called Rally, and my family recorded voice notes for me at each mile. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So the app is you send a link, you sign up for a race, you send a link to your friend's family, and they can choose a mile and they can leave you a voice memo. And then you just turn it on when you start running, and at every mile, it'll interrupt whatever you're listening to in your headphones if you're listening, and it will play that voice memo. So number one, I had probably 15 miles of recordings from my 8-year-old daughter. I have 2 other kids, they recorded stuff. So that was very powerful for me because the last 10K of a marathon, whether it's your first one, and I've talked to plenty of marathoners, whether it's your first one or your 10th one, I think that that's where you have to dig deep at the very end. So that got me through. So I was already hanging on to their words. And then afterwards, I was really beating myself up. It took me 6 hours. I'm not a real runner. And I was at the hair salon and I was texting my daughter on her iPad and I was talking to her and we were talking about the marathon and she sent me that video. And she was like, you ran a marathon. It doesn't matter how long it took you. And that's awesome. And you stopped and you had fun. And it like made me tear up. And so I just wanted to share that with someone who needed like the pep talk. And I don't know if you were paying attention to that video, but apparently a lot of people resonated with that. It just made my heart happy.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I love the video. I was like, I was watching it and I was like, I wish I had a video like this uh right after my first marathon because like my first marathon I had no idea what I was doing. Did not train very well for it and didn't feel well for it and finished it in 6 hours and 50 minutes and was walking it in from mile 20 to mile 26 and it felt like it felt like I was a disappointment, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I
to see
totally
that,
understand that.
yeah, to see that, it felt like it was talking to my past self. Like, yeah, you stopped sometimes, you had fun, you know? At the end of the day, you're a marathoner, and that's amazing.
It was just really neat to share it with my kids. And also, what matters to me the most is like they knew the process. They knew that I kind of gave up on myself behind the scenes on the training and stuff because they're here. But to show up and believe in myself and do something really big and really hard is really important to show them. And so her sending me that message was kind of like, okay, not only are you a marathoner, but you're showing up for you and you're showing them they can too, and they can do hard things. And it doesn't matter. You're not limited by time or pace or anything. You showed up and you completed it and you crossed the finish line, and that's what matters. Um, I think I'm probably going to re-listen to that a lot, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably not even just in running, too, just running and in life. Like, if you ever get down on yourself on a regular day, you can use that.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's kind of I think this is why the video has gone a little bit viral, if you will, because we are so hard on ourselves. Like it's so easy. And I posted another video about the post marathon blues because literally 48 hours I'm like figuring out what I did wrong and I'm just like really critical of myself and it's like you just ran a marathon. Like, how dare you, you know? And kids don't look at it like that. So it was just a really good reminder of like, why are you worried about all the details? Like, you did something really cool, you know? So I don't, it was really powerful.
Yeah. And so transitioning from that into your kids and into your life. So tell me a little bit about your life story. Did you grow up in the Houston area? And yeah, just I guess take me through your story.
So I grew up in the Houston area, and I have traveled for work for like the last 15 or 20 years. I'm a military vet, so I saw a little bit of the world, the US. I didn't go anywhere internationally. So I'm born and raised here in Texas. Fitness as a young person was not part of my life. I mean, I did it because I was in the army. And then when I got out of the army, I'm like, I don't want any part of that. They made me do it and I don't have to anymore. And it wasn't until like I'm in my early 40s, my early 30s, mid 30s, when my youngest daughter, the video we were talking about, when she was born, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my fit together, if you will. Um, and I had started running a little bit before that and it died off and then life happened. And then after she was born, I got back into fitness hardcore and learned how to take care of my body. And it was never like a lose weight thing, right? It was just, I feel good moving and I want to be active. And I picked up running on and off. And yeah, fitness, running, movement, health, all of those things are just a large part of who I am now. And they've shaped opportunities in my life. And it's more about not aesthetics, it's more about believing in my own abilities, confidence, showing up for myself. And so that's kind of like permeated through all areas of my life. My professional life, I've been promoted 3 times in the last 5 years, and I attribute that to when you show up for yourself in a personal way, then you start to show up in a more authentic, confident, powerful way in all areas of your life. So that's kind of like a really condensed version. But running specifically probably has had the biggest impact on my life in the last 10 years just because it reminds me of my power. And it's also the only place I can go and turn everything off. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I work, I travel for work, I have 3 dogs, I have lots of demands. When I put my headphones in and I go out and run, nobody needs anything. It's that the only time I get to myself, if you will. And I'm sure you understand that. Any runner understands exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's our only alone time sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have people that are like in my social circle, work circle, and they're like, how do you go run for 2 hours? So I'm like, how do you not? I don't
Yeah.
understand that. Well, you don't do something like that.
Yeah, and you actually talk so on your Instagram, you're a resident yapper, and I love that. I think it's hilarious, and I think your videos are great. And actually kind of referencing video you just posted an hour ago today, where it's people said like, I don't have time. I don't have
Oh,
time for this.
yeah.
I don't have time for that. And it's like, well, what are you doing in the times that you're not working, or you're not doing your responsibilities? You're probably scrolling on your phone. You're probably watching television. You're probably eating junk food, whatever it is. And it's like, what if instead of doing that, you went and did a run first? You
Yeah.
went and worked out first. You went and then with the remaining time, sure, you can scroll on your phone if you have time, or do something that you want that's like easy, but you may have more time than you think. And I thought that was a really great message.
I'm so grateful that it resonated because object lessons visuals help. So I did this really kind of dry humor visual. I was in the middle of cooking and I'm like, I'm not I'm a wannabe content creator. When I come up with an idea, I try to film it and get it posted as quick as possible. So I was literally cooking behind my back when I put that video together. But I've been coaching women in the health and fitness space online for the last 5 years. And one of the biggest things I hear is I just don't have time. I don't have time to do this or that. And it's really not an issue with time, it's an issue with priorities. And I've worked with so many women through that process. And so I felt a little bit spicy today, and I wanted to call people out using a visual saying, okay, if you prioritize things that are super important to your health, fitness, or apply it to budgeting. Okay. If you sit down and do your budget on the first day of the month, then it will work and you will make everything work and you'll still afford to be able to go to the movies and, what you want. It's the same concept. When you put the priorities that are most important to you first, you find a way to fit in everything. Right. But if you just
Yeah.
leave it to, I'm going to do this and then whatever I have left, then I'm going to do the important things, they won't, they won't happen. Right. So I'm really glad that resonated because I thought the visual was really powerful. Even my 8-year-old daughter, the one in the video, she comes in and she's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Like,
Yeah.
very good.
And I think sometimes we hear it as 8-year-olds and we're like, yeah, that makes sense. And then we don't even think about it, or, forget about it. And then when we're 35, we're like, that makes a lot of sense, like, so it's always just rehearing it and re-seeing it. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
so the more times we can say it, I think the better. Um, and what I also like, so I saw in your profile that and you said it, you're an online coach and you do some health, wellness, and fitness coaching.
Mhm.
So can you talk a little bit about that and how you got into that?
Yeah, so social media and the power of social media. I randomly stumbled on an account called Dayla Loves Dumbbells, and that's who I coach for. So I'm going to tell you the full circle story. So I
All right.
found her right about the time I started taking my health and fitness seriously. And she had these public challenges. This is pre-COVID. So this was probably in 2018, right before COVID. So online coaching blew up during COVID. So I'll get to that. But I found her, I joined one of her free challenges. And it was like, do these things for 30 days or something along those lines. And so I did it and I was like, wow, this feels really good. And it wasn't ever about, like I said, it was not an aesthetic thing. It was just like, hey, can I show up for myself consistently 30 days in a row, And then I ended up hiring her. and her company as a coach. And this was like when she first started. It was her and her husband, and I think maybe one coach. And she's grown an entire business 6 years later, 7 years later. So I became a client with her, and I coached as a client for like 2 years. And she created an online certification for online coaches at the peak of COVID. And I'm like, okay, this has changed my life drastically, how I show up. I want to do this for other women. I want to help other, and I have a corporate job, and this was not about money. It was about a passion thing, right?
Yeah.
So I went through the certification program. I got a few other certifications within the industry, and I put my wish out to the universe, and I ended up landing an assistant coaching role for another online company. I worked with women is like 21, 22, and then I stepped back for a year, and then an opportunity with DLD came up. So now I'm a coach for her team. So I full circle moment. I was a client certified through her, and now I coach women for her company online. Yeah.
That's awesome. I
Super
mean,
cool.
I think it's like, yeah, coaching and giving back, like you said, it's not about an income. Like this is all about just taking what I've learned or what you've learned and like trying to help other people. And it seems like you've also been able to kind of use your personal Instagram to supplement your coaching, because I'm sure a lot of your clients follow you and can see that and be like, and get a little bit kind of a bonus coaching, and it probably helps promote your coaching as well too. So I think that's pretty fun.
Actually, that's probably most of the support you see on my Instagram or clients of mine or former clients of mine, or they'll message me and they'll say, "Can you not publicly address me next time?" or something. But that's really where I get the idea of sharing some of the things that I do share on my Instagram is okay,
Yeah.
I've had or dealt with this, but I've also coached probably 250 women at this point, and this is the one common theme. So when I'm putting talking head videos out for I do a lot of talking. I did this public speaking challenge just to show it better online. So that's why you see a bunch of me talking to the camera. But where I come up with those ideas is like it might be something I had a conversation with a client about last week. And I'm like, you know what? I think other people can benefit from this. And I just put it out there because I have no real intentions with my Instagram. It's really, I just want to help people. Like if one person
Yeah.
comes and tells me, just like you saying something about my daughter's video, I've gotten so many DMs and comments. I needed to hear this. Can I save this audio? That makes it all worth it for me. So that's what I'm trying to do. I just think that the more you put information out there to help someone, if you just help one person, it's worth it.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it's makes me wonder too. So how does that helping mentality and that giving soul kind of show up in your life outside of social media and like your everyday life? Are you kind of a helping giving person throughout your day as well?
I am. If you talk to my family, I don't know if you've ever heard of love languages, but like I'm an acts of service person, and we show love in the way that
Mhm.
we want to receive it. And I am a giver. I am a helper. I want to make people's lives easier. So it shows up in a lot of ways. It's probably to a fault in some ways. I will say that. um, but I just enjoy seeing people be happy. And so I go out and I pay attention to detail. I go out of my way to make things easier. When I go out of town for work, I've like planned out meals, cook this on this day. And here I did this, or I'm sending reminders to my family because I have 3 kids and a husband, and, we're all busy. Um, but I think it's just in my nature that like if I learned something, let me share that wealth with someone else. Or if this makes me feel good, maybe it'll make somebody else feel good too. I don't really know where that came from, probably from people pleasing tendencies, which is probably not good, but I'm trying to manifest it into something more positive rather than just trying to get people to like me more than just let me show up and help you in some way. And then
Yeah.
maybe if I inspire you, then you go and help someone else. And then, together we can, not to sound cliche, but we can make the world a better place.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think I've talked about this a lot with other people and with previous guests. It's like if you just help somebody or if you just are a nice person to somebody, like you don't know how much of a difference you're making in their lives. Like someone could be having a hard time, somebody could have like, just been having bad moment after bad moment. And a little bit of advice that you give them or a little bit of encouragement that you give them, like they'll think about that and they'll probably think about that going forward and for several days, several years. And just like that, you've made a difference in someone's life. And that's that's how we make this world a better place.
No, I agree. And you are absolutely right. I think that when you just, it's like sowing seeds, like you're just planting seeds and you don't know what comes of it or your impact on someone else. Very rarely do you get to see the full picture of something coming to fruition. But I think that if you just keep putting them out there, you keep planting, sowing those seeds, they grow. And then, it comes back to you. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been having a bad day or stressed out and a complete stranger says something kind to me and then it's like wow it kind of pulls you out of that negative headspace. So if in social media or outside of social media, if I can do that for anyone, whether it's someone closer to me or not, I want to do that. And I don't need to know, I don't need the validation of knowing what happened afterwards. It just makes me feel good to offer.
Yeah, for sure. And I talked about this with somebody. She was a Houston Marathon ambassador on the episode that will air before this one. And she talked about how, like, even in her running, she's able to help people. Like, and it's just by running. Sometimes she'll be running, and somebody will come up and see her. Oh, I saw you out running, and that kind of like motivated me to go out and do my run because it was super cold when you were doing it. It was the middle of the night, and you were out there getting after it. So I thought, well, if she can, why not me? And she was like, as runners, just by running, sometimes we make a difference. And do you feel that with your running? Do you feel like you've been able to make some differences on people's lives?
Absolutely. So I run and in the same area over and over and over. I can map out a short route, I can map out a really long route. And so people start to see you repetitiously. I've had that happen where I've run into somebody that maybe an acquaintance and, we don't talk all that much and we see each other at the supermarket or whatever. And they're like, I've seen you every Sunday for the last 6 weeks. And that just showed me like, if you can do it, I can do it. That's happened to me a few times. And you're not even talking to anyone. You're just showing up for yourself, but it's the consistency. Or there's a gentleman that runs in my neighborhood and I was getting out of my car one day and he runs all the time. And I told my family, I said, he must be a marathoner. The next time he runs by, I'm going to ask him, so this is an example of not even me having an impact, him having an impact on me. So I yelled across the driveway and I was like, what race are you training for? Because I mean, he's out doing long runs and it's consistent. I see him consistently. And he said, life. I'm not signed up for a race. He's like, this keeps me young and healthy. And I'm like, it inspires me every time I see you. So thank you. And he was like, I just show up to be a healthy guy. But I mean, I just see him and he's just doing his own thing. He's not even a marathoner, if you will. So you never know who you impact just by showing up.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I get that a lot myself. I run
The same
routes
route.
pretty
Yeah.
much all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same long run route, like
Yeah.
it's mapped out of my head. I know exactly what the mileages are.
And you know where the fastest stops are,
Right.
where you can stop. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And but it's cool because I know that a lot of my friends or a lot of people that I know live on that route. And so like somebody will like see me and then a few days later I was like, oh, I saw you out running and you were smiling. And that kind of made my day, because like you're doing something hard and you're clearly sweating, but you're like smiling. And I was like, I think I was just laughing at something I heard in the podcast or something. And
Do you listen to podcasts on your long runs?
I do. I listen to podcasts or audiobooks on most of my runs instead of music. Just because like music, in my opinion, it makes me change my pace when I don't need to be changing my pace. And so it kind of throws my entire run off. And so podcasts and books have become my best friend.
So I told someone recently that they said, what do you listen to on your long runs? 2, 3, 4 hours. And I'm a slower runner. I listen to podcasts and it changed everything
Yeah.
for me. Now, on my shorter runs, like tempo runs, I'm listening to music because I want to keep up that higher cadence, but long run podcasts and it's been so beneficial. I haven't heard anybody else say they listen to a podcast while they're running, but to me, I just check out, turn it on and get after it.
Yeah. I I don't know if you know the Nike Run Club app
Hmm.
that and it's got Coach Bennett and he talks
Hmm.
it's like on his runs a lot and like encourages people. One time he had said like, he was talking about becoming a fan of the sport and that's kind of when I was like, oh, well, I really know nothing about running, even though I've been running almost my whole life. I don't know the pros or anything. So I started looking up professionals and then I got podcasts, recommendations, and I started listening to those podcasts and it just, I don't know, first it gets me motivated because I get to hear their stories. So
Hmm.
that's what motivated me to start this because it's like a lot of these runners are doing the same thing we are.
Yes.
And so that's been kind of fun to hear. And yeah, like it just keeps me steady on my run and sometimes takes my mind off of it more than music does.
See, I agree with you. Music throws me off of my pace because my playlist, unless you have like a high, BPM playlist, like it varies. So slower songs are going to slow down, involuntarily. Faster songs are going to speed up. And so when I started listening to podcasts is when I was really able to make strides with pace and time when I'm training for real. So, I mentioned that I didn't finish my training for Houston. I am training for two other marathons and I am going to finish those training blocks because I would like to run it in a better way this time. But yeah, I've been
Yeah.
really tuning into podcasts on my long runs.
Yeah. Awesome. And so, yeah, I did want to ask a little bit about your training for Houston and then the Houston Marathon kind of race itself. So, first off, when did you decide that you were like, yeah, you were going to sign up for this? You had said you'd signed up in previous years and didn't do
Mhm.
it. And so, why did you sign up again this time? And what was your training like?
So I signed up this time because I was tired of signing up and not following through. And I got back into running last summer and I don't know, you kind of just now is the time. I've been putting it off. I'm not getting any younger. So I signed up on a whim, just like randomly one day last July. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I saw that it wasn't sold out yet, so which is Houston. The beauty of Houston is you can do that, right? It's not like a world major or anything. So I signed up and I just started running for like a month, two or three times a week, and it was just about 20 minutes now, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Just I wasn't doing any tempo runs or anything like that. And then and I'm not trying to promote their services or anything like that, but I used Runna for a plan because I already had Strava and they, married together. And I adjusted it. I mean, I'm a certified personal trainer. Like I have some background in that, but I'm not a run coach by any means. So I kind of used that as the bare bones and I made adjustments, based on how I felt because I know it's AI generated and all that. Um, and so I just stuck to a 4 day a week running plan. And what I didn't do well is I didn't keep up with strength training for the first like 10 weeks of training or so. And then I picked up strength a little bit
Mhm.
towards the end. I still struggle with marrying those two, and I'm trying to figure that out this year, more so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just followed a run up plan and, you know, ran as much as I could. And I didn't get hung up on time and pace. It was more about getting the time on feet, and learning how to fuel and making sure I wouldn't have any stomach issues. And my body handled that very well, remarkably. I don't have any horror stories about that. And I followed that run-up plan all the way through the holidays. And it's, I mean, it's the biggest race in Houston, and I'm a Houstonian. So I was super excited for that to be my first one. And the weather, there are 2 days in Houston that it's going to be cold. Okay. Valentine's Day, middle of February, every year. My birthday's around Valentine's Day, so it's always cold. And Marathon Day, it can be 70 degrees. Now, I say that, and then all the marathoners from like 22 or 23, I think that was the year it was hot, they're going to come at us for that. But most of the time, Houston is very cold on Marathon Day. And what do you know? This year, it was like 39 degrees that Sunday morning. So it was very cold at the beginning. but the weather warmed up nice. The sun was out and it was a gorgeous day to run. It was a beautiful day in
Yeah.
Houston.
Yeah, that's what I've seen from many runners, that it was just probably like picturesque weather.
It was
But
absolutely perfect. Yeah.
yeah. I wanted to say, you said like, oh, I was able to sign up, and like, I saw it and I signed up. Maybe it was a little late in the game. It was actually going to be my first ever marathon in Houston, and I signed up, and I tried to sign up and it was already sold out. But the problem was I did it like probably at the end of December.
Oh,
And I think maybe that's too late. Yeah.
yeah. But it usually stays
Yeah.
open. It's getting now. I don't know if you've noticed this because I'm a recreational runner. But running is getting a spotlight. I don't know if that is social media or I'm seeing more of it, but I feel like even younger, running in my experience has been like as you get older, you pick up running, but you see a whole new younger generation of picking up running, and so it's getting a lot of, I guess video time. It's just being more popular now. And so you might
Yeah.
see Houston sell out quicker, but for the last 5 to 10 years, you could sign up for Houston's marathon in as late as September or October for January, and you're just fine. I don't know how it is this year. I haven't signed up for 27 because I'm not sure if I'm going to run it in 27. But I signed up in end of July in 25, and it was still open. The half marathon, and I don't know if you look at the ratio of runners. I think there were like 30,000 runners and only 10,000 or less were actually the full marathon. The most popular race that day, I think, is the half marathon too.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. Just like
It's
it's a
easier.
more manageable.
I was about to say it's an easier distance. We can all say that. It's okay. It's an easier
But
distance.
it is super interesting because running has gotten like quite the boom since like COVID, I would say. I think at the time it was more like people were just trying to get out of their house and do something. And I think ever since then, like it's really taken off, which is cool. But it does fill up those marathons and brings us Boston times down.
So okay, so I'm glad I feel a little bit validated because I'm like running is having its moment right now. And again, it probably has a lot to do with social media and whatnot. And then the rise of Runna and Strava and, because those things were not really around 10 years ago. I was running with,
Strava was more of a biking app for a long time.
yeah, so that's all like kind of new now. But you're right, it does affect getting into races. I mean, I have applied now. This is how insane my self-belief is, okay? I have entered the New York City lottery like 7 years in a row, and I had never even ran a marathon. I don't know what I was thinking, like that was going to be a great idea for that to be my first one. Um, but those now, I think you're going to have an even lesser shot of getting into bigger races through the lottery system, and so I'm running New York this year, but it's for charity. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
That's cool. Which charity are you doing it for?
New York Roadrunners.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, so I finally told my husband, I said, listen, we're going to raise as much money as we can, and we're going to take the kids to New York City. I'm going to run the marathon, and we're going to just do it for charity because I'm never going to win the lottery. After 7 times, I'm like, I'm never going to win it. So, and I don't like saying never, but as you start to see the entries go up, especially for New York, I'm sure Chicago is a little bit different. And Boston, I mean, maybe one day I can BQ, maybe,
Yeah.
if I train hard enough, but you're right. Those times keep getting lower and I don't think I'm getting any faster. Not fast enough anyway.
Yeah, I always tell my wife, I'm like, one day I'm gonna get there because I'm gonna get old enough. And I'm gonna meet the time where it is. Yeah. So yeah, but so tell me a little bit about the race too. So you had the mile by mile splits with your people telling you encouraging things. And how was the course though to you, and how was the race kind of step by step? How did it feel?
So I felt fantastic until about mile 18. So I think, yeah. So I made the absolute biggest mistake you can make running a marathon, and I got caught up in the vibes at the beginning, and I started out way too fast. And I don't think that hit me until about 22 or 23 miles. But I felt the
Mhm.
weather warmed up. I shed my clothes. And I was with a pace group back at the pack because I knew I wasn't trying to break myself. I just wanted to finish. And I felt great. And I was pleasantly surprised by the support in Houston. I'd never spectated that one. I didn't know what to expect, but I thought it was a great race crowd. The spectators were awesome. I even made a video about all the signs because I made a point to take video of all the signs. Um, and I stopped and ate whatever anybody was giving. I stopped and
That's
danced
awesome.
a few times. So that's what my daughter was like, you stopped a few times, but that was because you were having fun. Because I did. I stopped and, interacted. And like I said, I felt really, really good until about mile 18. That started I was fatiguing. Then I hit mile 20 and I took a picture of the mile marker and I was like, okay, I hit 20, a 10K left. I can do this. And then those last 6 miles were tough for me. I sped a
Yeah.
little bit, probably 20 to 24. I survived well. 24 to 26.2, I probably cried half of that time. Um,
Yeah.
Partly because my body was hurting. I'd never experienced that level of fatigue before. Um, Recognizing I still had so far to go because I don't know about you, but the last mile and a half of marathon feels like it takes 26 miles to go. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
then slowly realizing that I was actually going to do it. All of those emotions packed into that last 15 minutes. I think I walked a little bit and then my husband came. It was like almost to the 400-meter mark and he was tracking me on the app and he came and I was like in a zone and I was going to get there and I could see the turn to go down the chute for the finish line and I'd hear this voice and I'm by myself at this point. And because I had kept up, I found a few people to pace with. The balloon guys had passed me a little bit, but I was trying to catch up. And he comes up and I hear his voice and he is like, "Great, how are you doing?" And I look over and as soon as I saw him, I lost it. So then it was a very emotional finish, but um
Yeah.
it was an exciting day. It was a journey. There were a lot of highs. I don't know, you mentioned my social media. I posted some pictures, the marathon pictures they took, and it started
Yeah.
super happy, 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 crying, happy at the end. That was probably some that summed up my race. um
Yes.
but at the end, it was really cool because my kids were there and my family was there and it was just um it was a huge sense of pride and accomplishment that like you actually are capable of doing this. The
Yeah.
runner side, you can't get that anywhere. And then I was very sore. Once I sat down, I was very sore. But you know what? And as a fellow runner, I was in awe of how well my body recovered. I was sore Sunday
Yeah.
evening, Monday morning, it was a little tender. But by like Tuesday and Wednesday, like you would have never known I ran a marathon, which blew my mind.
Hmm.
And I think that that's been super motivational for me to be like, how dare I underestimate what this body is capable of doing? And I
Yeah.
think that's really
Um,
exciting.
yeah. So how soon after the marathon did you start running again?
I ran 6 days later. No, I lied.
Okay.
Uh, it was 8 days. So I took one whole week off, primarily because I had like rubbed my toenail, runner problems.
Dean.
Yeah, I have a very tender toenail and I was trying to let it, heal a little bit. But then I went out and ran like a couple of miles the following Monday. Um,
Yeah.
and then that blew my mind too because it felt fine. Like I didn't even run for it. I just wanted to get 20 minutes on my feet and I ran well. I was faster than I expected. And now I got back in the gym this week. I was traveling for work and I struggle running on a treadmill. It's something I need to learn to do this year. And I didn't have anywhere outside to run, so I didn't run this week. But I'm gonna go run this evening, and I'm just gonna start a new training block, a very
Nice.
slow and steady one. We have a race scheduled. My husband's very first marathon. He's not a runner. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, fun. So we signed up for a crazy destination race. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Avenue of the Giant. Is Avenue of the Giants? It's in the Redwoods in Northern California. That's on our bucket list. It's a small race. I don't even think they allow you to have headphones. The GPS doesn't work. You're kind of running it in nature. So we are signed up for that. So he and I are going to start training this weekend. And we're gonna go run that on May 3rd. So we'll see how that goes.
That is a big bucket list item for me. That
That
exact
race?
marathon. So
Really?
yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna vlog the whole thing for you. I will see all of the pictures. I mean, they don't even allow you to like. I don't even think they allow you to like. They're very close about media and everything, which
Yeah.
we are like outdoorsy people, and so I just think that's a really cool one to go do. And we're gonna you fly into San Francisco and drive up. So it's more about a trip, not the marathon for us. But we're super excited to do that one. And I didn't even know it existed. And I was like Googling one day and I told him, I was like, okay, you said you want to run one marathon in your life. I think this is the one for you. And he was like, sign up right now. We'll figure it out. And so that's kind of like how we ended up there. So we'll be headed that way in May.
Ah, that's so fun. I'm so jealous.
So what has stopped you
Yeah.
from doing that? Is it just the trip or just getting out to the West Coast?
Yeah, well, I've never been to the West Coast. I've just been kind of I don't know. I've been kind of picking marathons and choosing marathons based on like proximity.
Yeah.
So I've done Austin, done Dallas, and then I've done one out in Marathon, Texas, kind of out toward Big Bend.
Mm-hmm.
And did that one a couple of times. So, all Texas-based races. The one that I've done outside of Texas is in Salt Lake City, which I did last July. Um, and so it's just really never lined up, but I'd love to see the Redwoods. Like,
That's where why we're going, really. Like it wasn't about the race. It was like, oh, we found a race in a place we really want to visit. Okay, let's like sign us up. So you said you did one out by Big Bend?
yes. So if you are looking for a really cool marathon, bare bones marathon, I tell a lot of guests this because I love this race. It's called Marathon to Marathon, and I think it started unofficially in the 90s. And runners would just like dawn the city of Marathon, Texas. They would go out to the highway sign that says Marathon 26, and they would run from that sign to the town, which is, a marathon.
Yeah.
And so they started doing that to kind of raise money for the local, city and local um, organizations there. And they've had it every year for, I think, either like early 2000s, I believe, like 2002 maybe was the first year. And basically it's just a straight line. So they bus you out to that highway sign, and the one of the ladies like who runs it goes out there, and it's usually like 50 racers, and she just tells all 50 people like ready, set, go, and
That is
she's
so
out.
cool.
Yeah, and it's time shipped, so like you got it, as a
Right.
little bib that's got a timer on it, and you run on the highway, basically a straight line, and it's like a huge shoulder, and I think one lane of traffic is closed off, so you're not gonna like hit cars or anything. And yeah, you just go and get there, and it's really cool. And at the very end, it's like a metal bar, basically a metal bar being held up by two other metal bars that just says M2M, and it's been there since the first race. And they have really good barbecue right at the finish, and it's just kind of pretty down home.
So we went and spent Thanksgiving week in Big Bend National Park. We tent camped out there, and I want to explore that area. That sounds like right up my alley. So I'm doing New York City because New York City's marathon is a bucket list for me. But as a runner, I don't really aspire to run all the majors or that's just not it. I
Me neither.
or like I want to mix it in with my love of running, but then I want to, if I'm doing destination races, I want it to be something that I want to go see or do or that's interesting. the the whole, and I'm going to say this about Houston, which I really enjoyed, the whole big race thing, having to go stay in a hotel, get to a corral, travel, the hustle and bustle. I'm expecting that for New York because I understand what I'm walking into and I want to do that once in my life. But doing that at a big destination, like one of the majors, is just not something that I am interested in doing. Like you said, okay, Austin, I would love to do Austin. We can drive up to Austin from Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, rock and roll, whatever. But the marathon, that in West Texas, that sounds like super cool, which is another reason why we chose the Redwoods, because it's like an off the beaten path race. It's not a corporately sponsored race. Like, um, that's more my speed.
That's awesome. Yeah, I align pretty heavily with that. The only big major marathon that I want to race is Boston someday.
Yeah.
My mom was a two-time Boston marathoner, and she's like the reason why I run. So I'd love to,
Okay, so you have like an emotional impact thing to, yeah. New York City is
yeah,
just, I want to be a part of that day in New York City.
yeah,
I
for
have
sure.
heard stories and just this things trickling out of that day, and I love New York City as a city and a place to visit. I go there for work, and so I just want to experience that as a racer there, as a runner. So I understand the whole Boston thing. Yeah, I enjoy Houston for the reason that it's a bigger race and you get the whole energy and the vibe, but it's not one of those races where you're like stressed out and you're like getting up at 2 a.m. to go race. Like, I heard horror
Yeah.
stories coming out of Disney. Do you have you ever been interested in running the Disney races or anything?
Yeah, I've been interested. I've never actually been to either Disneyland or Disney World. But
Okay.
it would be a big an excuse for me to go is to run one of those races. So
So I have several friends that are Disney enthusiasts and they have run those races. Um, but just fair warning, they get up at like 2 a.m. and wait in a corral. And like it's one of those destination race issues that you deal with. To me, that scares
yeah.
me because I'm like, okay, I practiced and I trained this way and I need this much sleep. And so,
Yeah. But I'll say the 2:30 wake up actually isn't that bad. So I did that for Salt Lake City in July. So the race that I ran was called the Deseret News Marathon, and it starts at 5:30 in the morning, and you have to get to the buses at like 3:30.
okay.
And they'll bus you up. They bus you up a mountain, and then you start out on that mountain and run down it
Oh, you run downhill the whole time?
the whole time, except for at mile 7, which is a little bump, but it's not that bad. And the rest of it's all downhill. And we had to wake up at 2:30, which means I went to bed at like 6:30.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was going to be hard, but I just popped some melatonin, and then I woke up
Yeah.
at like 2:30 and I felt great. So
Yeah, provided you go to sleep on time, that's fantastic.
yeah.
And I'm gonna have to do that for New York. Like, I don't even know, we don't get corral times or anything until like October or something crazy. But
Yeah.
finding a hotel in New York to even be in close
Yeah.
proximity, I'm gonna have to traverse the city to get there. So I'm probably gonna get up at 2:30 and then leave my husband with 3 kids that don't know the city to figure out how to get somewhere to spectate. So
Yeah.
I will keep you posted on that journey too, because it's gonna be a wild one. A wild one.
Awesome. Well, cool. It sounds like running is definitely not leaving your life.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of big running plans, so I'm excited to keep following. But I wanted to ask you before you leave just a few questions. So for running, what does running give you? I guess on a daily basis, what do you get the most out of running?
That's a really good question. I would probably say freedom. Freedom. And I know that's probably really, let me explain. It's freedom to go and do and be and exist in a moment, just you and your body, and it's when I feel the most free. That's the only way I can describe it. Um, does it make me feel good? Yes. Does it help me with being healthy? Yes. Do I accomplish things? Yes. But it's like it just makes me feel free. And
Yeah.
I think what keeps me running, because not every run is fun. Like, let's not, I mean, not every run is great. Sometimes you force yourself to get out there. You feel better afterwards, but sometimes getting out there is hard. I just tell myself that one day I'm not going to be able to do this. And so I
Yeah.
want to experience that freedom for as long as I possibly can. So I think that
Yeah.
that's the biggest, it's just where I feel the most free and the most powerful. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. If you know, you know, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately about, you're not going to be able to do this going forward. My mom is currently living with terminal cancer, and she was just put on hospice 2 days ago. And so she's a big runner, big cyclist, and obviously it now is bedridden for for the future. And so it's just like I got to keep doing this. You know what I mean? Like I got to keep running. I got to keep doing this
For her.
for
Yeah.
how much her instilling all of this means to me. Like it's something that I don't take for granted, and you know, I want to show her that this is something that I want to follow in her footsteps.
And that would probably be my secondary reason. So if I take away like what it does for me as a mother, I want my children to feel exactly what you described, right? Like even if they don't run, I want it to be inspiration for them to do something and believe in themselves strongly enough to accomplish something big and hard. So that would be my next thing. That's what I get out of it, because they're
Yeah.
so proud of me and they think it's the coolest thing ever, and all of my kids have done runs with me, all of them.
Yeah,
Nothing
I
really
love that.
long, like we're the 5K turkey trot family, okay, only because mom makes them, but there's never been a bad experience, right?
Yeah, and I think, when they're older and like they're in their 20s and getting, spouses and, boyfriends, girlfriends, they're gonna be coming to your house and they're gonna be like, well, we're gonna go to the turkey trot,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day, and those spouses are gonna be like, what? Like,
Yes.
no, we're not. But then once they like my wife, she grew up, she was not like a fitness person, like her family didn't do fitness growing up. And one of the first times she visited my mom's house, we got up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and then we did like a 5 mile walk, and then we played pickleball, and then she wanted to go play like swim in the swimming pool. And I was like looking around for my wife, and I was like, "Where's Monica?" And she was like, "I don't know, I haven't seen her." And I went into the bedroom, and she was like curled up in a ball, and she was like, "I just need a minute. I just need a minute."
Okay, so that's me as a future mother-in-law, because you described the Saturday. We go to the park, we walk, we go play pickleball. Mom signed up for
Yeah.
the race. Mom's long run is in the morning. Like that is our life.
Yep. Yeah, but now the first thing we did together basically was train for a half marathon and run a half marathon, and then like she's with me on all the turkey trots every Thanksgiving. She's done multiple 5Ks and 10Ks, and now she does CrossFit, which is like something I can't even do.
So
So
CrossFit, well, hats off to your wife, because I did CrossFit for a little while. It's tough. So she's an athlete.
yeah,
She's an athlete,
yeah,
because that's not easy. But look, see, I mean, I want to instill that in my kids. That's really outside of myself. I want to instill in them healthy habits, really. That's
yeah,
what it's about. And then it gives them it's like functional fitness or a higher quality of life for as long as they can.
yeah. That's awesome. Well, I love that. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing
Yeah.
your story. And I'll definitely, I mean, you made a friend and a fan in me, so I'll definitely keep following your Instagram and your running journey. So
Well, thank you. I
thank you so
appreciate the
much.
time. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the time. And I'm going to follow the podcast. I haven't been able to listen to the other interviews, but I'm going to go do that and set it up for my flight on Monday. And yeah, we will be in touch.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you. I think this is going to be coming out. Oh, yeah, this is definitely going to be coming out net. I guess could say this coming Thursday. So
Okay.
the
Okay,
next
cool.
Thursday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. I appreciate you. I will be sending prayers for your mom. I'm very sorry to
Thank
hear
you.
that. But yeah, maybe I'll see you around sometime. And
Yeah, and maybe we'll.
I'm gonna keep you posted on the Redwoods journey, okay? Because you're the only person that I've talked to since we signed up for that race that even knew what I was talking about. So that just made me happy. So I'm gonna keep you posted about how that goes.
Yeah, well, and if you ever want to sign up for that marathon to marathon race, let me know because
I will.
I've got the hook up on like best B&Bs to stay out there.
Okay.
So yeah, just let me know.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. I hope you have a good one.
And that was my episode with Brandy Hoffman, aka your resident yapper on Instagram. Thank you so much to all of y'all for tuning in, for sharing, for following, for commenting. It truly means a lot, and it's just been fun to share these stories from the Houston Marathon and hear such inspiring stories, such wisdom from these runners. And yeah, this has been probably one of my favorite things that I've ever done for this podcast. So thank you so much. If you haven't checked out the last 3 episodes, just go back on either Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever it is. All of the last 3 episodes are posted there, and the final episode of the Strides Through H-Town series will be posted next Tuesday. I'm excited for you to hear that. And without further ado, I'll see you next Tuesday.